Hi, today we're going to take a look at some paper and pencil alternatives to things we already do in our classroom. These could be entrance and exit tickets. They could also be maybe a short paragraph on something that students watched or read. Maybe you'd like them to write an analysis partway through a unit. Most of these things can be done digitally, not only saving us time at the copier and saving trees, but it also gives students the skills that they need, not just for our new 21st century assessments, but also skills that they're going to need once they leave school. This picture is a Chromebook versus a stack of papers used in my classroom for one day. This includes a small quiz, an entrance ticket, as well as handouts that I give to my students because it's something that I want them to have, something that they're going to need for the rest of the unit. I really like what's on the left versus what's on the right. All of the things on the right can be done digitally as opposed to passing out stacks and stacks of papers. Today we're going to take a look at Mixbit.com as well as tac.com, which can take the place of exit and entrance tickets and projects or possibly even an assessment. We're also going to take a look at, once you create a Google form, how do you get it out to your students so they can actually use it. Here we are at Mixbit.com. Mixbit.com is a video creation and sharing site that allows you to use video clips and pictures or screenshots to create short videos. I think this is a great way to change up your exit tickets. It's also a great way to differentiate and grab your visual learners. Mixbit.com is a project that was headed by the original creators of YouTube. And I'm going to take you from sign up all the way to publish. First thing I'm going to do is grab a disposable email address, which is a really nice feature if you're doing tutorials or showing your students how to do this. I'm going to go ahead and paste that in there. They ask for a username and a password. And that's all it takes to sign up. We're going to go ahead and create a video. The first thing you need to do is find yourself some clips or images, and I have some already. And this tutorial will ask my students to tell me what they learned in class on any specific day. So I've taken some screenshots. Students could write things on paper and take pictures of them. They could take pictures of their artwork. Anything visual is really great for this exit ticket, and you don't have to put them in the order that you're going to use them. All right, so here I have some pictures, and you notice the first one shows up over here. So I want this to say use video as exit tickets. So I have it in the order that I want it, and you can play and it'll show you what you have so far. And the next thing you want to do is add a theme, and the theme will show up once the video is published. And let's see, I'm just going to pick this one, but there's quite a few, not a huge list, but there's a few. We're going to use that theme. Click done, and you can also add some music that will play during your short video. If you notice, this does not take very long. And there are a lot of things for students to choose from, so this might take a little longer than your average exit ticket, but I think it's something that students will really like, and exit tickets get a little boring unless you mix them up. There's quite a few bits of music to choose from, and let's try this one. That's a little slow. Let's see if there's something a little faster.
Tricky Diesel.
That one sounds good. I think I'm going to choose that one. You click done. So now I have my pictures in the order I want them. I have a theme. I also have a little bit of music. Click Publish. It asks you to add a title, so I'm going to call this Exit Ticket. And here you could have students use their name or a name you've provided. These are all public, so you want to make sure that there's no student information on them. Another interesting feature about this one is students can actually collaborate if they know each other's username. And if I come up here, it'll take a minute to upload. You notice it's uploading here. This can be done with a desktop. It can be done with a Chromebook. You can also download apps for iTunes and for Android. And notice my video is finished. I can click here.
Tricky Diesel.
And there I've shown my teacher exactly what I learned in class. There's a quick tutorial on using Mixbit for exit tickets. TAC.com is a great way to create an alternative to the paper and pencil assessment. We know that we use a lot of paper in education, and to allow students to create a project or even take an assessment digitally, it cuts down on all that paper. It also cuts down on all of our time at the copy machine. TAC.com is really great. I think it's a great way to do a mid-unit assessment to see if your students as a whole are ready to go on. It's very easy to sign up. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that and then show you what you can do with TAC. First, I'm going to grab a disposable email address, and I'm going to create a username and a password. Even young students can do this, especially if they have a Gmail email address with your school's Google Apps for Domain account. The next thing it's going to take us to is a profile. You do not have to fill out any of this information. There's about 4 screens. You can just click Next at the bottom of each one of them. And you can follow people who are already on TAC, but I would suggest against that. And at this point, we're ready to create a TAC. And a TAC is really just a very small website or blog. So I'm going to go ahead and click Create. And it starts you out here with just a basic blank canvas. I'm going to go ahead up to this little white and green pencil in the upper right-hand corner. And I'm going to click on Blank Canvas. Once again, students that have very little tech skills, this is incredibly easy for them. Down here in the black bar are all of the functions that you can use with TAC. The first thing I want to do is put in a title. So you click on it, and now you have a place for your headline. You click on it and you start typing. So paper and pencil alternative. All right, that looks pretty good. The next thing I want to do is give a little description of what I'm doing here. And my message is going to be, TAC is a great alternative to paper and pencil. Now I'd like to add some pictures. So I'm going to click on the little camera, and TAC has some really great photos available. So I'm going to type in paper. And here's an interesting one. If you grab the little bar across the bottom, it shows you everything that's available. Oh, I like this one. Go ahead and click on it. And down here, my picture shows up. And I'm done with that. So let's see, the next thing I'd like to add, you come down here, once again, here is your bar. I'm going to add, let's see, I'm going to add a video. And you can search all of these different places for videos for your TAC. So I'm going to find a video that has to do with, let's see, I'm going to find a video that has to do with paper. Now to do this, you actually have to go to YouTube. So I'm going to open up another tab. And I'm going to take us to YouTube. And let's see what's in here for paper and pencil test. So here's one on guidelines for creating an objective paper and pencil test. And I'm going to highlight the address. And I'm going to go back to my TAC, and I'm going to paste in and click embed. And there is my video. Students can then explain a little bit more about their TAC. This would be great for a social studies class, especially looking for videos and pictures of a particular time period. This could also replace that one-page paper that you have students write that you sort of hate grading. This is something that might make your experience a little better. There are some other things you can do. You can change the colors of your TAC, and students can get lost in this for hours, as we all know. If there's something in here that you don't like, this little gear box will allow you to change things within your TAC once you've already created them. You can click back on that to get rid of it. Now let's see, I'm going to change the color here as well. And if you want to get rid of something, you can delete it with just using the trash can. Once you've finished and added everything you want, you click down here on Publish TAC, and it might ask you to invite others to join the conversation. And by conversation, you mean this little area down here where others can actually comment on the TAC that you've created. This is really nice if you'd like students to interact online. It's also great if you're teaching digital literacy and digital safety. Down here in the bottom right-hand corner is the address to my TAC. Now to get to the actual published website or mini blog, you just grab it and drag it up to a new tab, and it'll pop up right here just like a website. And these are public, so you'll talk to students about not using their real name and not publishing any personal information about themselves. This is really great, I think, for older students, maybe upper middle school or high school. There's one other great feature about TAC that I'd like to show you. It really isn't an assessment piece, but what it is great for, I think, is when you're watching a video in class, especially if you're watching a long one. A lot of times students will want to watch a movie maybe after they've read a book or a movie that goes along with the unit you're teaching, but partway through the movie they zone out. I like to give a requirement where they have to write something. So once again, I want to get away from that paper and pencil idea. If you go up here to the green and white pencil, you can actually click on a chat. And what that will pull up is a chat just like you would have in the comments beneath an article online. And I'm going to type in, we're chatting about the King Lear movie, which we're going to be watching in my class in the next couple of weeks. You can add all sorts of things from comments to images to GIFs, and you can invite your students to this stream by simply giving them the publish address, which is down here. And if you grab it and drag it up to a new tab, this is what they'll see. And they can start commenting. Now, this is something that you'll definitely have to monitor because we know how students are. They like to see what they can get away with. But their name will pop up because they've already created an account. And they can say things like, hey, I really enjoyed reading the book rather than watching the movie, or hey, they left that part of the book out. I've used this a couple of times with movies, and it's a great way to keep students engaged instead of zoning out. That's one other feature I wanted to show you. Now, I'm going to take you back to the tack that I created on paper and pencil tests. And to do that, you're going to click on this little icon and click on My Tacks. And the nice thing about this, it'll even save the conversations that you have. So maybe you can do a different one for each class, or maybe you just have one class like a Civil War class, and it's a semester class and you only teach it once a day. You can hang on to these for semester after semester to see what students were saying about it depending on the semester you had them. I'm going to go ahead and open this one up. And I'm going to show you how I have students turn this into me so that I can grade it. First thing I make sure they do is copy the URL. And then I've just created a Google form where I ask for their name, first and last, and then I ask them to tell me what class they're in, either periods 1, 2, 3, or 4. I'm sure most of us have more classes than that. And then all they have to do is paste the URL of their TAC into this field right here and click Submit. I'm going to go ahead and take you to the response spreadsheet. And if you notice, the one that I just created popped up here. And as the teacher, all you have to do is click, and you can take a look at their project. You can grade all of the students' projects from this one spreadsheet. This is a really nice feature that you're able to put URLs into a Google form. This is very versatile. You can do it with lots of things that students create online. The last thing I want to talk to you about today is how do you take some of these digital things that you've created or things that you'd like students to create and pass them out. I was talking to a teacher today, and she was so excited because she had created her first Google form. And then she said to me, now that I've created it, how do I pass it out to my students? And this is a little bit of a mind shift because we're used to taking a stack of papers and passing them down the rows. She wasn't sure how her students were going to get a hold of this great Google form that she had created. She was making a small quiz to go along with one of the units that she was working on. So I'm going to take this last little bit of the video to show you how, quite a few ways actually, that you can get this Google form into the virtual hands of your students. So I have a Google form and I'm in the live version. This is what the students would actually see. And the email or the address up here, not the email address, but the actual web address or the URL up here, this is the location where students need to go to get to this particular form. Now, if you take a look at it, it's very, very long and complicated, and there's no way that even I or you would be able to type this in with accuracy every time. There are some ways that we can get these out to our students very, very quickly. The first thing you need to do, and I'm going to show you quite a few of them, so the first thing you need to do is copy this URL. So I'm going to highlight it, and I'm just going to use a Control-C to copy it. The first one I want to show you is Remind. If you have students signed up for Remind, what used to be Remind 101, you can actually take that URL, paste it into a message, and send it to everyone in all of your classes or a particular class based on how you have your signups broken down. Once they get this on their smartphone, I'm going to go ahead and send it. They will actually be able to, and here's what it looks like when they receive it. They will actually be able to click on this or tap it with their finger, and it will take them directly to the form that you want them to take. So here's that form we were looking at before. Now they have it up on their smartphone. So Remind 101, or what used to be Remind 101, now Remind, is a great way to pass out these digital forms. Another way is a QR code. What a QR code is kind of like a brand new 21st century UPC code. And if you just type in QR code generator into a Google search, you'll get hundreds of them. This is the one I use. It's the-qrcode-generator.com, and I will put that in the description of this video. But this is a really very easy one to use. All you have to do is remember we copied the URL or the web address of our form, and there are some things you can do. Free text, URL, that's what we want to do. We want to paste in our URL, so make sure that you have toggled that. And I am going to use Control-V to paste it in. And this over here, this black and white bunch of pixels, is a QR code. Students can actually take their iPads or their smartphones and use a QR scanning app, and there are hundreds of free ones, to scan this. Maybe you have it shown up on your board using your projector, and all they have to do is click, and it will take them directly to the website that you want them to go to. You can do this with any URL, any website. You can save these, you can share them, and one of the nice things is they give you another URL, but they give you an HTML code. And what an HTML code is the language that allows you to put things on your website. I'm going to show you how to do that using my school website. So if you notice, once you have this HTML code highlighted and it pops up highlighted for you, I am going to copy it, and then I'm going to go to my school website. And this is in a school website. This is in the teacher editing mode. And this is true of most websites. Doesn't matter if you're using the plain local website. Maybe you have your own Google site. There should be a spot, and here it's called Source. If you click on it, it will take you to the area that has all of this code, all of this computer mumbo jumbo that allows your website to look the way it looks. I'm going to put the cursor right up here in the top left-hand corner, and I am just going to paste that big long mess of characters that I copied just a minute ago. And here it is. It pops up right here. And then I'm going to save it. And if you notice, it has popped up here, and this is going to be on my home page. I'm going to go ahead and take you to my home page and show you what that looks like. And here it is. You can put this, use your projector, put this up on the screen, and students just have to scan this. This is really great for students who are a little bit older. I know they're using this in a lot of intermediate schools who are using iPads. Right, so that's one way. Another way is to use Classroom. And if you're taking this class, you're using Classroom already. You can very simply, if you want students, once again, to get to this quiz that we've created, all you have to do is use that URL code that we copied. You can do it in either announcements or assignments. And you can give them a little direction. Take the quiz. And then this link here, it looks like part of a chain. You just paste in that URL and click add. Oh, wait a minute. That is not my URL. That was my embed code. Let's go back and highlight this again. And I'm going to use Control C. I'm going to go back to Classroom. Now I'm going to paste it. And Classroom's really nice. If you do something wrong, it tells you. Right here, it told me I had an invalid URL. And I'm going to click Add and Post. And this just pushed this out to every student who belongs to this particular class. All they need to do is log into Classroom, click on it, and it'll take them to their quiz. Another way, and this is great if maybe you have older students, maybe you're not using Classroom at this point, maybe you haven't had anybody sign up for Remind, you can create a tiny URL. Like we talked about before, this really long web address, this URL is too hard to type in by hand. But you can actually create a shortened version of this, and I'm going to show you 2 ways to do that. The first way is to go to tinyurl.com. That's the web address. That's all you need to know. And it's very simple format. Here where it says enter a URL to make it tiny, I'm just going to use Control V and paste it in and click Make Tiny URL. Takes just a minute. And this, what used to be this very long URL, is now this really short one. And you can write this up on your board, on your whiteboard, and have students type it in. This one's a lot easier than that great big long one. One last thing you can do with a Google form is you can actually embed it right onto your web page. Oh, wait, I told you I was going to show you 2 ways. I'm going to show you one more way. I'm going to take you back to that Macbeth quiz, and I have a extension here that we talked about in the last class, and this one is GOOGL URL shortener. If you go to the page that you'd like students to make their way to, this quiz, and you click the icon, it will actually give you another one of these short little URLs. You can copy it, paste it onto your website. It will also, if you click on QR code, it'll make a QR code for you. And this one, what you can do is take a screenshot of it or a partial screenshot and add it as an image to your web page. So that's just another way you can make a tiny URL. So let's go to embedding. All right, so embedding this Google form onto your plain local teacher website. It's very, very simple. It's a lot like how we embedded that QR code. For this, you actually have to go back to the editing form. If you own this form, there should be a button up here called Edit This Form. If not, you can get back there through your Google Drive. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. This is the quiz that I'd like my students to take, and I'm going to make it so that they can take it right on my website. All they have to do, log into their Chromebook, get on their iPad, get on their smartphone even, and take this quiz. From this point, you need the embed code. To find the embed code, there's a couple ways to do it. You can go under File and click Embed, and it will give you this very long bit of HTML code, and it tells you even how to copy it. The other way is to go under Send Form and click Embed, and it will give you the exact same pop-up. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Right now, it shows you how big in pixels this particular form is going to be. I always like to try it out once, and then I come back here and mess with these if I want to make it a little bit smaller. But right now, we're going to leave it at the size that it is. So I'm going to use Control-C to copy this very, very long bit of code. Then I'm going to go to the Teacher Edit page of my school website. And once again, I'm going to click on Source. Once again, this is where all that computer language is sitting. And I'm going to use Control V to paste. And you'll get a whole bunch of stuff that pops up here. It's okay if you don't understand what it means. And I'm going to click Save. And it'll take a moment, and it'll take us back out of the source. And if it's done correctly, you should see this red iframe in the middle. It says iframe, and then a gray box. This is where, right now, that quiz that you want your students to take, this is where it's living. I'm going to go ahead and take you to View Live Site. and show you what it looks like. And if I scroll down, here is my quiz, and students can take this right here. All they have to do is go to my website and answer the questions. Click submit at the end, and it will populate into the student response spreadsheet, just like it would in any other way. One of the things you have to tell your students when you've embedded it onto your website, they'll look at it and say, how come there's only 2 questions? Or I can't find the submit. They need to scroll down. And I always feel that doing this, we're not only having them take the quiz over the content we're teaching, but we're also teaching them tech skills that they might not have. Our students all have smartphones and they're gamers, but simple things like this that they didn't know how to scroll down or they didn't know that they should scroll down is something that a lot of our students are lacking. So not only are we being efficient with our time in creating a quiz that can be automatically graded, but we're also teaching students some of those tiny little skills that they may have missed. This tutorial showed you how to change out some of your paper and pencil activities for digital ones, and also how to pass out Google Forms.